Wonder Woman is the first female-led superhero movie since Catwoman and Elektra. And we all know how those films turned out. So is this film good? Yeah, it's pretty good.
To the war.
Well, technically the war's that way, but we gotta go this way first.
How can a woman fight in this? Ooh.
Who's this young woman?
Wonder Woman is far from a perfect movie, but it is definitely a great movie. Especially everything with Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman was really on point and really great. The problem with the movie for me comes into the secondary characters, like mainly the group that she's in that picture with from Batman vs Superman, and those other soldiers are, they're bad. They're like corny, over the top corny, and bad acting and bad writing, and there's no point to them. I really think the movie would have been better if they wouldn't have been in the movie. And it also has a problem where generally the pacing is a little bit off. Like, so often there are these great little set pieces throughout the movie that are amazing, but in between each of those set pieces, the movie really slows down, and it kind of almost grinds to a direct halt through those periods. And pacing, it does not, like, it should be that, you know, a good movie builds and builds and builds until you get to the climax, and that's like the best scene. And in this movie, I say that one of the coolest scenes is probably like right near the beginning, when some of the Germans end up on the island, and they have all the Amazons battle them. I think that's probably my favorite scene in the movie, and that's like right near the beginning. I mean, of course, there are other cool scenes later on, but the final scene is not the best scene of the movie. It's one of the worst cool scenes of the movie. Thankfully, though, this is the best DC Universe movie so far. And that's not saying that much, but I mean, it's a good film. And I love that it's really completely standalone. They don't try to set up anything else in the universe for the other movies. Like, this is Wonder Woman's movie, and that's it. And I love that. And, you know, basically the setup is that she's, you know, on this island of Amazonians, and, you know, she's the only child at the beginning, and, you know, she grows up, and she becomes a warrior, and then Chris Pine crashes a plane through the magic barrier around the island that's hiding it, and the Germans come after him, and that kind of brings her into World War I. You know, and that's kind of a good idea, too, because World War I is not that talked about. You know, World War II is such a kind of more in our popular culture, the war. And I mean, I like that, you know, Battlefield 1 recently did World War I, and now Wonder Woman talk about World War I. And it's kind of cool, and really they can do a lot with it, but it's not as much as known, like, for us with World War II. But it kind of comes down to a very basic idea of World War I. And that's basically, okay, so what happened with World War I? Well, the Germans and everyone else, but a big thing, the gas. Okay, so we have one character that is creating this new amazing gas that'll kill everyone. And when this film talks about that deadly gas that Dr. Poison, Dr. Moreau, whatever his name is creating, it is some of the worst movie chemistry I've ever seen. Like, I mean, maybe if you said, it's some weird compound that she created, then okay, that's fine. You don't have to explain it. Okay, we're good. But then they try to explain it slightly. And they're like, it's like mustard gas, except they use hydrogen. Oh, boy. And, replacing sulfur with hydrogen, they are completely different elements. They wouldn't work the same way at all. And the only reason they picked hydrogen was that the general knowledge of it is that hydrogen gas is flammable. So at one point later in the movie, Chris Pine's like, so, is this stuff flammable? Well, it's hydrogen, so yeah, of course it's flammable. And I'm like, wait, what? Hydrogen gas pure hydrogen gas is incredibly flammable. But you don't say, hold up some water and say, oh, is this water flammable? They're like, well, it's hydrogen, so yeah, of course it's flammable. Like, that's not how things work. And, like, even the gas, like, how it, like, destroys glass and metal, like, most glasses don't do that. And, I mean, if they want to make it something magical, make it something magical. Why bring hydrogen into the game at all? Except because they wanted to make it so that the crowd will understand that it's flammable. That's the only point of it. And it's just a throwaway comment that really bothered me and my brother while we were watching the film. I know my brother, when watching it, he laughed out loud when they said hydrogen. But, you know, it's movie chemistry. What do you want to do? You know, I initially had my doubts about Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, but she proved all the naysayers wrong in this film, because she is excellent as Wonder Woman. Like, she's not a huge, muscular woman, but, you know, she is statuesque, and she's beautiful, and she really kind of encapsulates the Wonder Woman persona. And, you know, she's badass in the action scenes. And I know there's a lot of CG, but for most of the film, the CG is pretty good. Like, even when she's, like, flipping around and doing stuff where you know it's CG, my eye didn't catch too much wrong with it. And that's saying a lot. However, I'm not going to spoil, but the last fight is kind of reminiscent to the last fight of Batman vs. Superman, where they're fighting against a completely CG thing. And this is a very slight spoiler, but I think everyone knows that she wants to fight Ares. You know, that's the whole reason that she's going out into the world. And when she fights Ares, he's just really stupid. Like, he's fully CG, and like he just gets all the metal from the battlefield and creates himself like a suit of armor that looks really corny. And then the whole fight is just him like throwing stuff at her with his mind. And it creates for a kind of goofy fight. Like, it's not that fun. And then most of it is all CG. And there are parts of it in the story that are cool. Like, how it ends up is good, is great. But for most of that fight, it's not a short fight. It's a relatively long fight, and a lot of it is just kind of boring. It's like just him throwing CG monsters, throwing CG things at Wonder Woman. And also, there's a really goofy thing with that. I won't spoil, but the face of Ares is the actor from the movie. And after he transforms. And I think it would have been much better if instead of that, they had gotten a new actor to play Ares for when he transforms. And then you could have had some really big guy that actually do some of it practical instead of it all be green screen CGI, blue screen, whatever it is. Again, for what I liked, Gal Gadot was great. Chris Pine was great as the first man she sees. And I mean, some of the stuff is a little corny, but it's funny, you know, and it's kind of charming when like they're flirting, but they're not, like, she's never seen a man, so he's like, "Are you an average example of mankind?" Like, well, above average. And you know, it's kind of funny. And Chris Pine, like, does surprisingly well for this. I mean, he's done other stuff like Kirk in the Star Trek, but I think he's really good in this. And, you know, some of the stuff in the relationship at some points are a little rushed, but I like their relationship between the two, the back and forth. You know, it's good. And, again, like, the biggest problem of the film, I think, is the supporting cast. And I really don't know how the director could have filmed these characters delivering their lines and not go, could you stop there? Could you do that again? And do it well, or because the worst is the Native American guy, and he's like a smuggler that gets him into the front lines or whatever, and his accent is so cliche. I guess the idea of the Native American guy accent. Like, I won't try, but I'll butcher it, but. It goes in and out from scene to scene, and even when he delivers it fully, it just sounds so corny and bad. And there's no point, like, I don't see why is he Native American? Like, what is he doing in Europe and they never try to explain it. There's this one throwaway line where that he's not a soldier because the last time we had a war, we were almost completely eliminated by the American. And again, that's one thing. Chris Pine is an American that's working for the British services as a spy, and they never try to explain that, but that's neither here or there. But for the Native American guy, he goes out of the way to say that he's not a soldier. He's smuggling and bringing things for both the Germans and the Europeans. Like, he doesn't care like what side the war he's on. But then the second the battle starts, he's like tossing grenade, shoot. He's a soldier. Like, he just went on for a while saying that he's not a soldier, and now he's a soldier doing badass things, throwing grenades all over the place. And it doesn't make sense. Next, you got the Irish drunk sharpshooter that can't shoot a gun because he has PTSD, or a shell shock, or battle fatigue, whatever they called it back then. And the whole idea with this is that, okay, at one point he's supposed to snipe a sniper. And it's like, oh, I can't do it, I can't shoot. And then what happens is Wonder Woman does something really badass to solve the problem. But, the point of him having that, like, we think that, okay, a natural arc would be for him to overcome that problem and then snipe someone at the end of the movie. And they don't do that. Like, they're the perfect opportunity, too. I kept thinking, okay, I bet this is going to happen now. And they don't. I kept thinking that while Wonder Woman was battling Ares, like, the sniper would the camera would look through the scope and he would shoot Ares in the head, and even though it wouldn't do anything to him because he's Ares, but it would distract him and maybe let Wonder Woman get a punch in or something. But they never do that. They never have any sort of arc for him. They could have another arc where he's like, he is singing, and he's like, I haven't heard him sing in such a long time. Have him, so you could have him maybe like singing a song at the end or something. No, they don't do that. Like after the end of the movie, like, the side characters just disappear, like they're never there. So I don't see what the point of having them. And the third one isn't that bad, but he's like a Middle Eastern guy that's kind of like a spy, or he can talk the pants off anyone or something. What they call him, like, and he is like, wants to be an actor, and that actually has a tiny bit of an arc because he acts to get Chris Pine into the party, the German party. And, that's like, okay, that's a little bit of an arc. But then they never really talk about that again. That's it for him, really. I mean, he's still there, but he doesn't really do anything. I honestly just don't see the point of these side characters. Because they're incredibly weird. Like, they're unique, but not in a good way. Like, if you want to have these characters, I mean, why make them so goofy and so corny? I mean, the movie is already kind of right on the edge of being really corny. And then when you throw this group of corny characters in that have no reason to really be there, it just brings up the corny to too much of a high note. And I cringed every time those characters were on screen. But again, Wonder Woman, she was freaking great. I mean, she was like, every time she was doing her things, or doing all her cool stuff, I mean, it was like enthralling. Like, she was really good. The one thing I will say, though, is that there is no blood in this movie, even though a lot of people are killed. And that sometimes bothers me. Like, I know they do that because they can get a PG-13 rating. But at one point, she stabbed the guy through the chest and down into like a ceiling, and like you see that someone comes up later and they see the sword sticking out from the ceiling, like the bottom of it. And there's not a drop of blood. I'm like, you just stabbed the guy through the chest, and the sword went through that and through the roof, and it's just in there completely clean, not even a speck of blood. That's not how that works. But that's what they do. You can't have a little bit of blood, or they can't. And the last time they kill these people, and it's like, you're killing people. I mean, they're German soldiers, so yeah, they're bad, but they're not like horrible people. But they kind of just like go right by it. Like, there's no recompense for what they do. They never really think about it, other than the one guy that has shell shock, and that's more of some things that happened to him or people that he liked. As for what I would have liked different, I would have liked more time spent on the island in the beginning, because that was a really cool setting, and like all the badass, beautiful women were really cool, and I would have liked more of that. Like it seems that they got off the island like really quick, and I would have liked either more of that, or then more of maybe like a group of them realized that they should help Wonder Woman. They came back out to try to help her towards the end. There's something more with them, because like after they left the island, I felt like it just completely forgot that beginning of the movie. But other than that, honestly, it's a great movie. Like it's that's easy to find a lot of faults with it, but it is a great movie. Like I had a lot of fun with it. It was entertaining. Wonder Woman was amazing, and I want to see a sequel to it. So I mean, it's a good movie. It's definitely my favorite of the DCEU, even though it's not saying a whole lot. But I can say a lot of annoying things about it, but as a whole, I left the theater loving the film. But still, because there are problems with it, I probably give it like an 8.5 out of 10. Like it's not like incredibly high rating, but it is a great film that I would recommend, especially if you like Wonder Woman. So thanks for watching, and you can check out my other video playlist around my head, or subscribe over there, I believe. So thanks.